I'm Mirenda. I did it again. I looked at Facebook after 10 o'clock and I upset myself and then didn't get to sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning. Again. Today I'm talking about the impact of racism on my day-to-day lived experiences because it's necessary. But I'm gonna do it. I need to do this. And somebody needs to hear this. So I'm gonna do what I need to do and hopefully I will help you. I rhymed. I made a poem. Let's get into it. I was scrolling through Facebook, as you do, and I saw somebody posted some nonsense on one of my posts about a Black Lives Matter protest. I accidentally got involved in that. I didn't take my own advice. I will not argue with assholes on Facebook. I should have taken my own advice. I'm going to keep playing that video until we all remember. It's just going to pop up regularly. You'll get used to it. I promise you'll get used to it. But the thing that really got to me is that a Facebook friend posted about the statues that are being torn down, statues that are monuments to slave traders or to generals from the Confederacy or any of these things. He said, oh, we're erasing history, but no one is erasing it. History. These statues are going into museums. What are you really arguing? What? I hope that these arguments are made out of pure ignorance, that they genuinely don't understand how these monuments affect people of color, that our mental health and our physical health are both impacted by seeing these monuments every day. So let me explain how racism impacts the mental health of minorities. I changed my mind, not me. I'm going to let a psychologist explain it to you.
Hello, I am Dr. Elena McSwain. I'm a clinical psychologist and also a healthcare administrator. I work in a hospital setting. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the long-term effects of experiencing discrimination and racial bias. What we know from literature is that exposure to racism has a cumulative effect. So over the course of time, those stressors build up and have negative effects both on the experiencer's mental health as well as physical health. Specifically, the fear of racial discrimination, while through the report of feeling unsafe or avoiding spaces or places, had the largest effect on the mental health of ethnic minorities in recent studies. Why is that important? Because we recognize that it builds. When you're exposed to racism time after time after time, those negative experiences create greater rates of anxiety, depression, and also affects physical health. It shortens our telomeres. Those are your DNA caps. So essentially, the long-term effects of an exposure to discrimination and racism actually causes the lives of the experiencer to be shorter than if they had never experienced it at all. And that is why that is a healthcare concern across the world.
Thank you, Dr. McSwain. Isn't she so good? She's so good. Now let's pop back to the video and I'm going to show you the kind of incidents that can cause damage to our mental health. Let's start with this. What about the postcards that depict Black bodies lynched, hanging from trees, as Billie Holiday said, as strange fruit? But if that's too far in the past and you think that that's irrelevant, how about this? What about the Tea Party? Often at their rallies, they have this poster of Barack Obama being lynched. It's the disrespect. It's the casual racism and disrespect. And if that's still not current enough, what about the fact that George Zimmerman, who shot unarmed Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old Black kid, as that kid was just walking home from the store buying Skittles? What about George Zimmerman? He has fans that ask him to sign packs of Skittles. And he does. What do you do with that? It's like, just think it through. I just ask you to just consider in the privacy of your own mind to think it through. The man signs bags of Skittles for his fans to commemorate his murder of an unarmed Black child. I'm repeating myself on purpose because the impact of this on my mental health, just give me a minute. Now I'm going to speak to something that's relevant for my own life and is current. Fredericksburg, Virginia. It's a historical kind of Civil War battlefield area, very touristy. I grew up the next town over. Downtown Fredericksburg was 15 minutes from my house. As I was growing up, downtown Fredericksburg was racist. There were businesses that didn't want us in them. I once went to Fredericksburg as a 16-year-old with my white friends, and we couldn't get seated in a restaurant for lunch because they didn't want the colored girl making trouble. That's what Fredericksburg was like. I remember there being a cross burning in the field of a middle school during a PTA meeting. Fredericksburg. While I was growing up, there was a slave auction block in downtown Fredericksburg with a little plaque on it memorializing this site of slave auctions. You would imagine that this would be a cautionary monument to remind us never to engage in atrocities again. But that's not how it was seen. As a Black person walking past that monument, racists felt entitled to make just horrible comments to you. This girl in my church once said she went on a school trip, they went past the monument, and a white girl pointed at her and said, "This were 150 years ago, I'd own you." And then she promptly broke the girl's finger, and I don't think she got in any trouble for it, and she shouldn't have. Please consider all the disrespect that is emboldened by these monuments that we, people of color, look at and are reminded of the police brutality and systemic racism that affects us today, that is still relevant today. Why I don't understand why the focus, the center of some people's argument is on preserving the history of these monuments rather than preserving the life and the mental health of the Black people that are affected by them. How is that your focus? I don't understand how people just wave it away and say, oh, well, we need to solve racism in another way because these monuments are an important part of history. Nobody's trying to steal your history. We're sticking these monuments in museums. The slave block in Fredericksburg has been moved to a museum. Nobody's trying to erase history. What we are trying to do is create a society that respects everyone. I don't know. I think that people who don't understand that don't want to understand it. And I think Michael Che said it best.
As a country, we just can't agree. We just fight about everything. We can't even agree on Black Lives Matter. That's a controversial statement. Black lives matter. Not matters more than you, just matters. Matters. Just matters. That's where we're starting the negotiations. Matters. We can't agree on that shit? What the fuck is less than matters? Black lives exist. Can we say that? Can we say... Is that controversial?
What I'm asking of you today, I think, is quite simple. Just consider where your focus is. Are you only focused on things that directly impact you, or are you focused on yourself and the people that you share the world with? Thanks for listening to me again today. These are just my thoughts, the stuff that's rattling around in my mind, and I appreciate that you allow me this catharsis. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.